Ah, you're there. Hello. Clicking in, clicking out, checking in, checking out, tuning in, turning on, dropping out. Let's do it. One of my first cinematic experiences happened when I was very young. One day at the beach, I remember being in the water and the adult says, hey, everybody get out of the ocean right now. I took my time, and as I was getting out, the adult comes up to the water's edge at the beach and he says, hey you, why don't you go back out there and do what you were doing before? And the rest of the kids stay back here on the beach. So I did that, and I went back out and splashed around, and I was I think I had a little bit of attitude. And then about a year later, the following summer, I went to a double feature film, some low budget cinema, and the second film came on. It was called Lifeguard. It starred Sam Elliott. It was in the mid-70s. And there's a scene kind of halfway through it where he says in voiceover something to the extent of, sometimes I look out there and I look and I just don't see anything out there. And as the camera's panning, I see myself on the screen. And I had this kind of moment where I started leaning forward, like I wanted to almost touch the screen or to kind of go through the screen, and then it was over. This is a flip book, but it's a film, and then the film became a flip book. But I like that idea of kind of crossing over, where one medium bleeds into another, and everything becomes kind of fluid as opposed to defining yourself by a medium. I think Dusty and Sweets McGee is probably my favorite American film, which is this incredible film by Floyd Mutrux. I saw the film, I was completely caught off guard by it. It's entirely non-actors in it, and he proposed this film, and the studio guy said, I'll tell you Monday if I'm into it. He shows up, and Monday the guy says, it's too much money, forget it. So Floyd goes back and he retools the script, and he says, I'm gonna get rid of all the actors, I'm just gonna find real people. And in the film, for example, there's two Hispanic men who are small-time drug dealers. So Floyd goes and waits outside the Los Angeles prison for two Hispanic guys to get released, and he casts them. And this film has this like strange kind of cinema verite quality, but it's also kind of in the shadowlands of what we perceive as Hollywood. It's kind of the alleys and the arroyos and the back streets. And it's just a strange, mysterious film that I really find incredibly potent. We went to Rome, we went to the fascist district, and we framed up this shot that was exactly like the exact composition of but it was an Ed Ruscha lookalike. And we styled this Italian man who's the same weight, height, hair color exactly as Ed to walk through this scene that was taken from a different film also, even though we were refilming it, right? 6 months later, Ed Ruscha is over at the studio, and we're watching this rough cut of Frontier. And he kind of leans over halfway through and he goes, say, Doug, is that me? Is that me in that shot? And I didn't even say anything because it wasn't, like the shot before was a tight close-up, and then it was this wide shot of some old Italian man dressed in denim with his hair styled like Ed Ruscha's. Then it goes back to Ed again. We're recreating Rome at the Getty Museum for the tight shots, and then going to Rome for the wide shots. And then Ed doesn't know if it's him or not. It's the whole thing's kind of hyper real. At a certain point during the pandemic, I got so restless that I said, I want to see every single film that's ever been shot in New York City from 1970 to 1990. So I just went for it, and I just went every night just seeing 3, 4 films. And what happened was, I was no longer seeing the films themselves and their limited stories, but I was seeing the mapping of an urban landscape as it was changing and evolving over time. And this studio where we're at now, it was interesting because it was kind of like a life raft. I reached out to the state of California and I said, I know you have offshore oil platforms and several of these are decommissioned in the next 2 years. Do you have plans for them? No. I said, what if we turn an offshore oil platform into something like the Pompidou Center? And it was like a living installation, and you could go out by boat with Maddie and spend the night off of the California coast, and you could dive or take a submergible to an artificial reef that's been growing for 50 years. It was kind of this gift of time and focus that we're all so desperate for in some ways,
Absolutely.